Hey guys, welcome to the Solution Architect channel. Today we're going to talk about what does it take to be a programmer, what do you need to know, what do you need to understand, what do you need to learn to get to a programmer. So for those that is new to programming, I think this is a good video for you to watch. It will be only a few minutes. So what is a program? So in my own words, a program is a piece of software code that instructs a computer to execute specific tasks. Now, what is a programmer? A programmer is someone who uses a computer language that writes a piece of code to create a program. So, examples of a program. So take your phone out, go to the apps where you can browse the internet. And then you'll find Google or Firefox, or if you've got an iPhone, you'll find Safari. And that's a piece of program that a programmer went and developed and used a computer language to write that program. Next, what is basics a programmer needs to know? A programmer needs to know and to learn a computer language. It needs to understand how a computer interprets the computer language. He needs to understand how to design a program. He needs to know what data is and how to store data. He or she needs to know and how to use source control. He needs to understand what is infrastructure. He needs to understand the software development lifecycle, and he needs to understand how to package your program, how to publish your program, and how to run your program. There's much more that a programmer can and need to understand, but this is the basics. The types of programmers, or what others call developers, what is the type of programmers that you need, but that you get in the programming world? So you get web developers who write websites, not just websites, but also web applications that runs within a business. You get software programmers that focuses on anything back-end development. I'll get into that detail later, but software programmers can write software that runs on an application that a user doesn't even use, or it can write basically anything. So I see myself, my background come from a software programmer, and I wrote web applications, I wrote Windows applications, I wrote Linux applications, and much more. Then you get database programmers. They focus more on the data side. You get mobile application programmers like the ones I said earlier. Take your phone out, you get Google or Firefox or any application that runs on your mobile application. Then you get mainframe programmers. This is a long time ago when we started with programming. That's where mainframes come from. And then you get people that programs robotics. I do that as well as a hobby. There is much more programmers, but this is the basics that you get. Then why do we need to know a computer language? What is so important to know a computer language? So it's in a readable format for humans to understand. It's easy to understand for a human, and then the computer language gets translated into machine language so your computer can understand what are you telling it to do. And it eventually then execute to run your program. So there's a lot of different computer languages that you can understand or can learn. I'm just going to focus on the main ones. There is a lot, believe me. The first one I want to explain is C#. Now, C# is a language that was developed by Microsoft. Initially, it only runs on Windows, but C# can now run on multiple platforms like Linux and Mac OS and others as well. Then you get Java. Now, Java is similar to C#. The coding structure, the language is almost the same, but it was officially released long before C# in 1996, and it was specifically developed to run on any platform. Then you get a language like Python, which is an interpreted language, and this is a great language for scripting or on the fly because you do not need to compile it. I will get into those terminologies later when I go specifically into a language. Then you get a language like COBOL. It's a very old language, very procedural. Its specific goal was for running on a mainframe. Then you get a language like C++. C++ is specifically very good for running on Unix platform or Linux platform, and it was based on the first object-oriented computer language. Then you get other languages like JavaScript. You get a lot of different scripts and languages right now, but this was specifically developed to run on a website. Then there's a lot of other languages such as Ruby, Fortran, Swift, and much more. So what is the joys of being a programmer? The joys of being a programmer, the first thing that comes to mind for myself is creativity. It brings out your creativity, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction when you get things right. Also, it gives you a sense of accomplishment when you see others are using your program and they're enjoying it, or they can do their job easier. There's also a very huge job market for programmers if you decide to become a programmer. And believe it or not, if you choose a correct language and you know your stuff, you master your stuff, it can pay well. There is downsides of being a programmer. It's not an easy job. It's a very difficult job. Like I said, it's very satisfaction. It's got its good parts of it, but it also does have the downsides. Not everything goes to plan as expected. Expect failure. It will, if you are very inexperienced and you're just starting out, it's gonna take up a lot of time. So I suggest invest in a great coffee maker. Then a program is gonna break. Like I said, it's gonna fail, and it's not always your fault that it fails, but you're gonna have to fix it. You're gonna have to maintain other people's problems, other people's software as well. It might not be the way that you would have programmed it or developed the code, so you need to go fix other people's mistakes. Not always a great thing to do and a nice thing to do, especially if a program is very complex or you think it hasn't been developed to use the correct patterns and things like that. You will get the blame if something goes wrong, even if it's not your fault. I said that earlier. So guys, what is my advice for you if you want to become a programmer? Believe me, it's a great job. But what is my advice? What do you need to know? What do you need to do? Never stop learning. Always learn new things, especially around new programming techniques, because things does evolve very quickly in the programming arena. Choose one computer language and master it. Don't try and do more than one language at the same time. You're not going to learn Spanish and German or Dutch at the same time. You're going to master one language and then move on to the next one. Think logically. Coding is logical, always in a logical order. So it's step by step by step. Think logically about your code. Always keep it simple, because if you do not keep it simple, someone that's going to maintain your code going forward is not going to understand what you've done. And part of that is make sure you comment your code, but keep it simple. You don't want to fix other people's complex code, so you keep your code simple. Expect errors. Always expect an error to occur. So when you write your code, make sure that you handle that error and you understand how to handle that error. Always test your code. Write unit tests. Make sure that you cannot be blamed that the test didn't fail. If the tests fail, then it will tell you immediately what the problem was. Then try it first before you Google. I know there's a lot of things out there in Google that will help you, but not everybody is right, hey? So try it out first before you go out and look for an answer. One of the most important things that you need to understand is think security. If you write your code, how will you secure your code? How will you secure your data? That is very important because there's a lot of hacking going out there. So that is my advice, and that is more or less what is a programmer all about. So thank you for watching my video, and please subscribe.